And good evening, podcast world. Welcome to the Spotlight Radio Network. This is the Keys to the City. I'm Jim Keaton, and I'll be your host. Just day after the team from down in Ann Arbor won the national championship in basketball yesterday, with the best team money can buy. And I'm joined by a couple of friends. One of them for sure that's I got to give him his props. He supports that school from Ann Arbor, and we have another mutual friend who went to my high school who I can't understand what. I think it's just the blue and gold drip that he's used to from high school, and he thought Michigan was the place for him to go as well. But I want to welcome in a couple of. I've been told that I've been having too much Quaker feel to the show, and I want everybody to know that I'm an equal opportunity guy. I whoop folks on all sides of town. I have no problem bringing them in and talking about how it was that they grew up, and always letting them know that I always felt like we did it a little bit better on the east side. But and then we had a gentleman who was supposed to come, who was going to be the one who would make the decision on which side was the best side, and he's a tax accountant and decided that he was too busy. I don't know why. He got another 5-6 days before he's got to get all that stuff turned in. But Steve, I want to give you a shout out, Mr. Steve Woodward. He couldn't make it for us tonight, but Mr. Alex Hernandez, there's the Prince, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and then there's Prince Alejandro, and then we have Prince Alex Hernandez from the west side of town, Mr. Verlinden, the king of Verlinden, I'm told. I thought he was a prince, then I found out he was a king. And also Mr. Bobby Little, Mr. Baseball from the west side. There was a couple guys over there that used to do all that, and Bobby was one of them. We're going to talk a little bit about growing up on the west side tonight over in the Verlinden area, which I see the school's for sale. Yep. Saw that yesterday. And
at the playground's all tore up with the water drainage. So the old Fisher Body site has a for sale sign as well, and so that's up for sale.
So the infrastructure that they're putting in next to Verlinden now, and I don't want to make fun, but I'm just going to state some facts here about our engineering folks who supposedly took care of this problem over Red Cedar with drainage and flooding, and my boy Demos and Charlie, they can't get open because there's always water around. And are they doing the same thing over here at Verlinden, or do we have a place for the water to go this time?
It never flooded over there, but no. I think whatever's going to go where the plant was at, because they didn't break the foundation at all. So they did the brownfield, they cleaned up around it. So I guess it's that for the drainage that goes down apparently, but it's got a green fence around it, and the basketball court's still there, and Verlinden's for sale now, plus that lot that's over there.
They had been I think. They run a daycare out of there for several years, yeah. Nice area still. Trying to fix the Fisher Body area up over there, of course, is what Alex was mentioning.
What's the plan? Have you heard what's going on with Fisher Body and what?
Well, I hear hearsay.
Yeah, what's the city?
So, when I worked at Delta, the battery plant went in, to be built. And originally General Motors was going to be with LG. And what happened was General Motors wanted their name first. Got into it with LG. And we found out about that process, and we did when we went to the new plant, and the new logo was made for, it said Lansing Delta Township, and it had the GM uppercase, not the small case, and then the UAW. Well, the first plans that we did, they didn't want anything touching the blue square of GM, nothing. And I'm like, what? And so anyway, so they went into that attitude with LG, and LG said no. And so they got out. Now it's Tesla. So I'm wondering about that.
What's going to happen?
With Tesla, they might be, you never know, they might put the plant there.
Now, I've seen a lot of electrical generation a few years ago that they were running. It looked like it was running to that area, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have some sort of a maybe transformer type of electrical generation from somewhere from the plants out west into that Fisher Body area. It looked like to me, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't develop some things like that.
Okay.
That is a brownfield.
But Alex, you don't hear anything from rumblings from the city in terms of plans, what they'd like to see from a planning commission standpoint or zoning administrator?
You know, I just became the ambassador to the Choose Lansing, and then I just put my application in for actually the Lansing Chamber of Commerce, and just got done with Andy's campaign, and he's there. So there's going to be some talk, and they'll probably talk to me about those things. But I see something coming. Something's going to be happening over there.
Well, as you guys know, and obviously going to Sexton, sitting in baseball field or the track field or running the Cinders, Fisher Body was a staple.
Well, you like to, if you could hit a home run and hit the building was a big deal.
Yeah,
You ever hit that building, Jimmy?
There was some talk of of people that did that.
Yeah, you never did?
I might have
Glanced one off?
left the building and put one on the roof.
Okay.
Maybe. So
I know Tony hit one and hit the building.
you know, yeah, I was one of the guys on the roof actually threw it back.
Yeah.
So fortunate enough to get lucky enough to do that a couple times. But I brought you guys in because I just, there were pockets of Lansing where people grew up that are very, very, very special to them. And, I've had Chris on, who hopefully is going to make it in here sometime this evening, and Mike Bradshaw on talking about some other stuff. And we talked about, growing up. And the thing that, for me, that is fortunate, and I just owe it all to athletics, because athletics is a barrier that, transcends everybody's neighborhood.
Yeah.
And fortunate enough to meet people from all sides of town as well as outlying areas as well. And what neighborhood did you grow up in, Bobby?
Well, I grew up over in, they'd call it Dunnaback, which was connected to West Side Park. So basically the guys I ran around with, we'd run around that whole area, play baseball from morning to night, play football from morning to night, just like you probably did on the east side. And we were lucky to have Dunnaback Park and West Side Park. So we had a lot of green space there. Of course, we played a lot of baseball in the streets too. We had a lot of fun doing that. But, growing up in that area, and I think even Chris was involved at one point in bringing back maybe some. Do you remember that we used to have, they put old sport sheds in some of the parks. I think Verlinden had one at our Verlinden school where Alex was hanging out probably a little bit more. We had one at Dunnaback, and then it was a summer program where you'd show up there and they'd have equipment to use, and it kind of helped, the neighborhood especially for people that didn't have equipment, So you could play, and then maybe you weren't playing baseball in any kind of league. You just wanted to go down to the park and play, and they would have college counselors there every day during the summer. And a lot of times we'd spend our summer there and doing that kind of stuff. So pretty much we ran around those areas.
And that would be north of Saginaw.
It pretty much from West Side Park all the way down to, I don't know, Hawcourt Park, which is about halfway up to MLK Logan. And of course, Willow Street was a dividing line of neighborhoods, and you had Bassett Park. And, back when I grew up, we kind of run around in small gangs. We got in trouble, but we weren't doing bad things. But we ran around doing mischief things, plus sports all day long. And there were certain lines, like at night, you didn't go into Bassett Park because you weren't supposed to be there, and you didn't go over to some areas. It's kind of like territorial.
Yep.
And I don't think we're bad, but it was kind of like that. But you knew everyone.
Well, that's the thing. I think that you talk about, we all had parks. There was like your home park, no matter what was going on. There was somewhere where you were at every day, and mom and dad didn't have to have a babysitter.
Right.
You got your equipment, you got your stuff, and you were out doing your thing.
Yep.
And when the street lights came on, it was time to be home.
That's right.
Not go home, be home.
Right.
You don't be trying to sneak in when you see them come on.
That's right.
And then we call them gangs, but really they were just neighborhood kids.
That's how they were.
You had opportunities, and you hung out with people that were
You hung out with the same guys every day. A few guys would move in the neighborhood, they'd be with you, and they'd move out. You knew people like from maybe playing ball across town. So, I remember in those instances, there was a basketball tournament, and I think I was probably in 4th or 5th grade, and we heard about this kid Johnson. Well, he was a little bit older than me, but he was only a year or so over my buddy Scotty, and he happened to draw him had to play him in this. They had some one-on-one tournament back in the 70s, and so that's how you met guys, through sports, like you say,
right,
in the neighborhoods.
Now, Alex, you are the Verlinden side of the West Side, and what areas did that, map-wise, where did that fit in?
Most of the time we were at Verlinden. So whatever sports that were on television, so when it was baseball season, we'd be playing baseball, right? We played our Little League at Verlinden. We had 2 diamonds. And then whenever it was football, we'd play there, but we would go up to Sexton and play in front of Sexton because it was a wide area. And then basketball, we had a full court right there that's still there.
Right.
So we would do that. Plus we'd be in the neighborhood riding our bikes or
What was the territory? What was the border of your?
Oh, the border was, so where I lived, it was Genesee, so it ran parallel to West Saginaw. And so our section was from Genesee all the way up to Michigan Avenue.
Okay.
So that's where the
And then what about the
Iranis,
east and west?
right, and then right on the other side of Michigan Avenue, that was Dwight Rich. So that was Fred Bear, Tom Harani, those guys. They kind of, but we would go over there and play with them, or hang out with them, just like we would go over to Dunneman Park. Every time we went to Dunneman Park, we got beat.
Right,
So
but you went as a group. You went as the kind of the Verlinden
Yeah.
crew
We had-
trying to go against the. just
We were
like
actually, even though we went to school together, even in elementary school, the guys over in Verlinden were kind of, they weren't our guys.
right.
They just weren't.
It's just like on our side of town, we had Walsh Park and Foster Park, and we had very high levels of competition between both parks, but still had that healthy respect for each other. I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, and I just said, we competed at the highest level against each other, but there was still the respect factor of, we appreciate what you're doing over there too.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, when we look back, the difference between today and yesterday is you did have students from Michigan State who were coming and taking care of the parks. There's usually 2 or 3 of them.
Yep.
And they hung out, and it was cool to meet them too. They were from different places, and obviously we all had crushes on somebody.
That's right.
You know, and our besties, and then you had situations where we would go, like we used to go to Francis Park, and then we used to go to West Side, and we'd be like, hey man, we loading up in the car, we coming over, have you boys ready? But it was it was just good times. It was like, let's go and challenge the king of the mountain on their turf, and just like you said, you know, the difference between Verlinden and Dunnebeck, there was a difference. There was, you know, this is where I grew up. This is where I'm loyal to these people. We still friends, but I'm still loyal to this group.
Right.
And so then, what was the, like, Main Street to what? Washtenaw?
Yeah, to Sexton maybe. You know, that was kind of a different area too. I'm not sure what park. Maybe that would have been the park over there off of St. Joel, that they had something going on there.
And then everybody had Morris River Drive, or Morris River Park was everybody's park, right?
Yeah, that's
on
right.
On the west side.
Morris River Park, you know, you're going over there swimming. You know, we used to go to Windermere over in the Waverly District. So, you know, we used to deal with people over in the Waverly District. Same thing. We'd challenge them, we weren't fighting, we were challenging them to, like, sports and other things.
It was that competitive hierarchy. I call it the social hierarchy that kids don't have nowadays.
Oh, they don't have it at all.
Because they're too busy, you know, throwing names and insults into.
Well, I think too, like, you know, school of choice now too, Jimmy. You know, like when we grew up, you know, like for instance, I know we might talk a little about junior high, but to jump to high school real quick, you know, where you lived is where you went to school. Now, I know a few people, and you do too, someone's grandma happened to live over by Eastern, and, you know, they weren't going to Sexton. Might have upset me a few times, but that's how they got there. But other than that, that was the school you were going to where you lived at.
And when you were young, you knew the guys that were on the varsity team at the high school level, in football, whatever sports you liked, or band, or whatever things you were interested in. There was always that person that you could look at and say, I want to be like Alex. I want to be the Prince of the West Side. I want to, you know, grow up and eat my mom's tamales, and man, that was good.
And what I'm meaning by school of choice is that
it's ruined.
You know, you can go anywhere you want now. So
it's ruined tradition.
Kids are mixed up everywhere. I mean, I have a grandson right now that's, because of certain situation, is living over in Waverly, but still finishing up at Portland for a year. I mean, this kind of stuff never happened then. You know what I mean? I mean, you went to school and you just knew everyone, and it's just,
this is where I go to school. This is what I do.
And like you said, you knew the guys above you. We would support. You know, when I was a kid, we tried to get over to the Sexton game and sneak in there if we didn't have any money, and watch the game every Friday. I mean, we were supporting wherever.
That was just as much of an art as going to school, was sneaking into the game. Yeah. You know, and finding the spot. Hey man, the fence over here is, you know, we pulled it out, or we, you know, and nothing, you know, like you said, we weren't trying to get in trouble. We were just trying to get in to have fun.
That's right.
And, you know, nowadays, I've said for a long time that school of choice has ruined the traditions and the, just the history.
Yeah, your identity of where you're at.
Who you are. You brought up junior high. So, Alex, you weren't scheduled to go to Patton Gill back in the day, right?
Yeah, it was West Junior High. We know what happened there. But we had three different. The thing about the beauty of the West Side was where Bobby lived, you know, some of them went to Otto.
Yep.
And then where I lived, we went to Pattengale, and then on the other side of Michigan Avenue, that was Dwight Rich. So all intertwined. But when we were younger, it was just a lot different. That's where we were close in elementary school, and then we all went to separate junior high schools. But then when high school came, then we came back together as friends, but we matured. We were different. we wanted to go do other things together besides sports. Right,
Yep.
Bob?
Yeah, well, I tell you, that was a kind of a messed up thing, at least for over on my side of the hood, because I lived right on Clio and Highland. Highland Street ran from Dunnebeck Park all the way up to MLK. That was the dividing line. If you lived across the street, you went to Otto. You lived on my side, you went to Pattengale. Now, the reason I should have went to Otto, because I lived close and everyone went to Otto. I went to Pattengale along with a few people that lived around me all the way around to Alex, and a small group of us had to go to Pattengale, and that's part of that
Busing.
the busing deal, which Lansing was pretty mixed. We didn't need to do that then, in my opinion. You never broke up certain groups, and it didn't really. But I will say, for me, one of the things I didn't like about it is that I had to show up early in the morning over to, I think, Holy Cross School, and everyone around me jumped on a bus every morning,
To get there.
and we had to get to Pattengale. Now, I love Pattengale. I can talk about that later. I loved it. It was a good experience, but getting your butt bussed over there, and then at night when you had to come back, if you were in sports, which I was, and if you got in a little bit of trouble with your big mouth like I did once in a while with the certain teachers at Pattengale, you might have to show up and show something, and there's a line. Well, you never made your bus. So I spent most of my time at Pattengale
Walking home.
walking home all the way from Eastern over to West Side Park, where I lived. And it wasn't a good walk back in the 70s, going through some of these fields or down the old Michigan Avenue. And, the funny thing is, my sister was 4 years behind me. She did the same thing for 2 years, and then they scrapped that whole busing deal. So then she had to make new friends at Otto,
At Otto.
which kind of, wasn't good.
Well, it's the same thing happened when they opened up Hill, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah,
They came in, and then 5 years later, Hill was no longer.
yeah.
And
Yeah. But in some ways I don't even regret. I mean, I know I didn't like that. Well, I told you, but I made so many friends at Pattengale that ended up going to Eastern, and most of my Sexton counterparts didn't have these friends over there, which I did.
And it's funny too, because Alex and I talk about this a lot. When you had friends at both places, and then you had friends that didn't have that experience,
Right.
it was like, what are you doing going over and talking to them?
Oh yeah.
Why are you? Who are you? You're from this, and I'd be like, well, I've known Alex since we was toad hoppers,
Yep.
and people were like,
That's exactly
and that's why I wanted to have Woody here, because Woody got to be able to live both experiences on both sides of town,
Right.
and I wanted to just get his feel for what was different, what because he wasn't happy when he first moved.
Oh yeah.
He was riding his bike back home,
Yep,
home
sure
to the
was.
west side every day,
Right.
and so, Alex, speak to that a little bit about just some of the stuff that you had to experience by having friends at two different schools.
Well, for me, most people know this about me is that, I know that integration was a time where most people didn't like that, right? And I didn't know what to think of it at first, but with me, I met you guys. And it's Pattengale, and so when I would be at the football games or something, I'd go to Eastern side at halftime, and what are you doing? I'm not going over there, or they would say to me, and I go, well, I can, and I'd go over there, and I love that, I hooked up with you guys, and we're good friends, and a lot of support for me, and so I say that it was a great experience when that happened for me. That happened in my life, the things that I needed support on, the dynamics of being around you guys was a different dynamic than what we had, but it was good. And I know Bobby and of course Chris experienced what I did, but we were a tight group, and Bobby, that was Comstock Park.
Oh, yeah.
You went down there. You had a fight.
You were back.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
back. You were back before dark from
Yeah.
Comstock Park. If you were down there, we used to sled and ice skate down there. It was the only place
Yep.
to go.
Yep.
Again, when the lights came, yeah, you're out of there.
and it just kind of reflected the different makeup that we did have in Lansing, even amongst. I think the biggest change to me when I look at Lansing and people ask me, why and how do you think Lansing changed? And I go back to one simple premise: the automotive industry. Because Oldsmobile and Fisher Body were staples, and school of choice didn't exist. And like you say, you knew the neighborhood that you grew up in, and then you just had pockets of people who all worked at GM or worked at Olds or were working in Diamond Rio, but they all were working in some type of manufacturing capacity, and we were working class stiffs.
Basically.
That just were taking care of, our parents were just taking care of their family, had their nose to the grind. No one was trying to be a millionaire. Everybody was just trying to take care of their kids. And there was this sense of community and camaraderie where we knew we were different because of, there were still nicer neighborhoods than others. But it didn't filter down into the kids. We knew what neighborhood we lived in. We knew what neighborhood we could go to, but we also knew what time it was when it was time to get away.
Right.
And I think as a result of that, the social aspect of our lives was so much better because we had to communicate with each other. And one of the other things is we never went around by yourself. You were always with 4 or 5 other people from the neighborhood. I remember walking out of the house, and I walk out of the house and I walk up towards Mifflin Street, and I'd get a Jackson kid or I'd get a Porter kid, and they see me coming and they start coming out the house. And just like that, when we walked to school, people down on Detroit Street got up to Francis. All right, it's time to go, because you knew that they were the first ones that were coming and you were catching them, and we would walk to school. I don't know if I think you guys did this, but we used to walk home for lunch.
Yeah, we would walk home for lunch.
And then come back for the afternoon.
And come back. And I think we might have had an hour.
We did.
We were quite poor. I used to run I was a safety guard, ran the safety guards, get done with that, get home. My mother would send me up the street to go get a can of soup because we didn't have lunch. I'd get back. We'd make the soup, eat that soup, get back,
and
get back to school. I don't know how we all did that.
And
I lived about 3 blocks away, so it wasn't like Alex. I think you could see the school from his house.
Yeah, when we got bus to Pattongill, Bob, that's where the bus came to Verlinden.
Oh, okay.
And my mom in the winter, like Woody and Eddie Rex, and some of the guys that lived in my neighborhood, they would come in our foyer, and we had a rectangular window where we could look out the window in the foyer. And
then you knew when the bus was there.
Yeah, they went around the block, then we'd bust out the door.
Yep.
And of course, my mom would make homemade flour tortillas, so they'd give them to people that are waiting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the foyer.
I remember that foyer because we used to do another kind of an illegal thing back in elementary school. We'd ride bicycles up in there.
Not illegal.
Well,
questionable.
Questionable. But I don't know. His parents knew, but we used to see you weren't supposed to ride bikes to school back in the day either. Well, we'd ride our bikes up to his house and stash them in his foyer, and then that way
in
we
the
had
garage.
in his garage and
the mudroom.
So I'd walk into Alex's house before I went home. Yeah, there was all kinds of little things,
It's great memories. Well, we'll take a break here. Keys to the City, here at the Spotlight Radio Network at 105 West Allegan here in downtown Lansing, where the sun is shining outside the windows. Fellas, I'm hoping that spring has sprung and that we can all start dusting off whatever it is, our yard tools, our golf clubs, our baseball and softball equipment, whatever it is, tennis, and hopefully we'll be able to get out of here really soon with some really nice weather Have a great summer. I want to appreciate you guys. I want to thank you and appreciate you guys for coming in tonight. We still got a couple guests we're going to try to drag in. We're busy today, and we might even make a couple phone calls to a couple neighborhood folks just to see what they're doing tonight. But that's here on Keys to the City at the Spotlight Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success. Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Chicago Bears offensive line coach Dan Richard to discuss the Bears' 2025 successful season and his coaching career in general. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success. Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Chicago Bears offensive line coach Dan Richard to discuss the Bears' 2025 successful season and his coaching career in general. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
And welcome back to the Keys to the City on the little Steely Dan Tuesday night. Starbuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not Steely Dan?
No.
Oh, man.
One hit wonder,
That's one hit wonder.
1976.
Okay, well, I'm corrected again, you know. I do remember the song, though. Starlight, Star Bright, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Moonlight Feels Right by Starbuck, one-hit wonder.
all
Yeah.
right. We had lots of those too. A lot of one-hit wonders.
Sure
but we
did.
also had some classics too. Had some groups that was the other thing that I think connected us growing up was music.
Mm-hmm.
There was everybody asks us like, "Well, Jim, what kind of music do you like?" I said, "I'm eclectic." I said, 'Cause I grew up at a time where jazz, gospel, rock and roll.
Yep.
I mean, of course, rhythm and blues and soul, and I just was like, there was, and then knowing the greatest DJ of all time, Mr. What's his name? Come on, Alex. Starts with Jim.
Jim St. John.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
St. John.
So
And
the
his-
thing too, when you talk about that, so we went to Pattengale, and all of a sudden here comes these basement parties when we were like 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then everybody had
Saturday Night Live,
Yeah,
always.
Well, that too. But people had these two albums there, the best of the Stylistics and the best of Bread, and we all know why. So we can get a little bit close.
Yeah.
You know, those
No.
were like
Just needed time for the lights to go down.
That's right. Yeah, those are
Well,
the classic ones. Right
Bringing
there.
up the music, that kind of reminds me of another little thing that I think Sexton had a little corner of. We had probably the best dances on Saturday. I think they were Saturday night.
Or Friday after the game.
And Hill had
it was Friday night.
And Hill had good dances. And us boys over to Sexton, we were dancers, and we enjoyed ourselves dancing. And everyone would show up. And I remember we would go there. We'd go over to Hill and dance with the people there. And I remember, because I knew people from Eastern, I was with a bunch of guys, and I said, come on, let's go over to Eastern. And I know people there. We can go to their dance. So we went to their dance, and we didn't see a lot of their guys dancing.
Wall huggers.
We didn't see a lot of their guys dancing. And I said, oh, so, we like that. So we started dancing with their girls. Well, that was nice until those guys told us, we need to quit dancing and showing up over to those dances. But, I mean, that was a fun thing back in the day, too. The dances were fun. They used to.
I will say this, that Eastern had the best band from a total band perspective. Marching, things like that. Mm-hmm. But Sexton had the best band to listen to.
Yeah.
Because I remember, when they would come across the catwalk and we were coming out for the games, and they would, they didn't know it, but they were getting me more fired up to take care of their boys than they were their boys to get ready to take care of us, because it was just a different vibe in the gym when them drums get to hitting and the bass gets to bumping. And
that was General Corbett over there. He used to take up to the Lions games, and they'd drown out any band there, a high school band, and it was like a military operation the way he ran that band, and the way they would march from there to the football field and back, and there was probably 100 people dancing with that band all the way there.
Yeah.
It was good
something.
times.
He's a
Good
Navy
times.
guy,
Oh.
When we did the 150 in Lansing, I got to work on that parade for the bring the cars in, and he came and he was quite ill, and Mr. Corbett and his daughter came with him, and he had a wool blanket, and he was very ill, and he wanted to be here. He wanted to walk, and so I went up to him, and at first he goes, "Hernandez, is that you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the coordinator of this." So there was a guy named Jim Walkinshaw that had a 1901 Curved Dash, and so the alumni band was guys like Kenny Thomas, Randy Roos, Denny Hagman. These were some of the guys that were in this alumni band. So what I did is I talked to Jim Walkinshaw, and I said, "Is it okay if Mr. Corbett sits in your I'm going to get the date right here, 1901 Curved Dash ahead of the band?" And the band was playing Mary, Mary Oldsmobile. So Mr. Corbett didn't have to walk. So, they set him up there. He had the wool blanket on, and they were just,
Tight and
heading
right.
down. Yep, and it worked out perfectly. He passed away 2 or 3 weeks later.
He was an icon. I wasn't
Yeah.
in band, but he was an icon. My uncle was a 63 graduate of Sexton and was in the band with Corbett and told me stories about how they'd go down to the Lions game and there'd be a Lions band down there, more of a professional type of band. And the Sexton High School band would drown them out on purpose and mess them up, throw them off, and they did it on purpose, I guess. I don't know. That's a story.
We'd go to band day, and it was in Ann Arbor.
And Band Day at Michigan State. I remember,
Yep.
back during that time, Band Day was once a year, and to see all those high school bands, and then they'd all get on the field and perform together with the college bands, it was like incredible.
It is incredible.
Just so many different, and today you couldn't do it because the athletic departments wouldn't let you because we all got in for free. So now they'd be like, well, no, we can't give up those seats because we're still trying to pay these NIL basketball players at U of M.
Yeah.
Pat and Gal had a good marching band. Wendy
Oh, yeah,
Benz,
yeah.
Mrs. Benz,
Yeah.
and a lot of us, James Benson, Steve, me,
Well,
geez.
the music was important.
It was.
back then, and
It
there
was.
I think you look at all these things.
Less schools,
special
and less
people-
schools and less kids too, though.
Well, I
mean,
mean,
like
we had less kids.
No, I'm not saying back then. I'm saying now.
Oh,
To
I still go back to if what happened to Lansing when we talk about the automotive industry.
Sure.
We all started getting a little more money in our pocket,
Sure.
and now if we were to bring back the Grand Ledges and St. John's and DeWitt's and Holtz and East Lansing, all the people that grew up in Lansing,
Right.
and bring their kids back and actually send them to Lansing Public
Exactly.
Schools, then there ain't nobody in the state compete with us
That's right.
because they're leading all of those suburban towns now to championships, and they're all offspring of people who grew up in the Lansing School District.
That's right.
So when you start making a little more money, you leave the neighborhood that you're in because you say it's not good enough. I want it better for my kids.
Right.
When in essence, it was the neighborhood that made you who you were. And then when you get out on your own, then you start kind of forging your own path, and then it just continues to get watered down. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's what happened to Lansing, and all those working stiffs, if you will. And I say that with admiration, not with any sense of just degradation. It's like we all, and then our coaches and our teachers, they were all just down to earth people that wanted to see you do well. I mean, I know you guys, you talk about the band guy being an institution, and we're at Eastern now. We're getting ready to rename the track and the field at the new stadium, which is Gilbert Saceda Stadium.
Sure. He was our principal when at Pattengill, right? So.
And so it becomes this, Ed Townsend, who was our track coach, was an institution.
Yeah, he was a runner.
And so we're gonna try to get the name or the track named after him. And then the field we're just gonna call Alumni Field because there's so many great
There's so
athletes
many.
that came through Eastern that
That's
we just want us all to be recognized and have a small piece of that field.
I think that when we went to Pat and Gale, guys like me that went West Side, that some of the teachers lived in Groesbeck, and so they just, to me, it's like you talk about unity. With me, I used to ride my mini bike over there to see Pat Tallarico. Remember him?
Yeah.
I'd ride my bike or my mini bike down there and with Pat and Poacher family lived there. I mean, you can go on and on. They were just with the kids that so it made they were tighter. Sure.
Yeah, I'd have never made it through algebra without Mr. Poacher.
Yep, me
Yeah.
too.
What a great coach.
I know. He was a great teacher, great coach.
A great teacher and coach.
I would say to him all the time, Poach, this is math. Why they got all these letters in here? I don't understand all these letters. Ask me what you want to know. I can figure it out for you. And he says, Jim, you can do this. You just have to understand. I'm like, but I don't understand. I can read, I can write, but now you're giving me math and you tell me I got to use letters. That don't make sense to me. He just used to laugh at me all the time. But it's like, to this day, when I see a math problem and I see them letters,
Oh yeah.
I start to get irritated. And I start to have
I never liked the
withdrawals.
imaginary number.
No. Like ask me what you want to know. And then I can figure it out and get you the answer. And Poach would be like, you know how to do this. My son, who is a mathematical, I got all my boys are really mathematical geniuses that take after their mother. And when I have these discussions with them, they say, Dad, you do that all the time and you do it in your head. I'm like, I can critically think. I can figure stuff out. Just ask me what you want to know. I know how to figure stuff out. But when they ask me to a squared plus b squared plus c squared, I'm like, no, that don't make no sense to me. Because
Yeah.
how can A and B and C all add up to the same thing? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You know, it just don't make sense.
Yeah, Mr. Poacher would say that. Hey, Mr. Poacher, I'm going to go work at GM. He's Alex. And same thing. What he said to you, he said to me. And sure enough, probably 12 years maybe, Bobby, when I started working with the engineers and stuff, he was right. And I think that, remember the night the day we called him when we were at Mitchell's and we got a chance to talk to him, and I told him that I was so thankful that some of the stuff that he helped me with or whatever, and it came right back, you know, and I was able to God, he was right, you know.
Well, I know it meant a lot to him because his daughter called me the next day and said she wanted to thank us for calling him first of all, but it was like that's what we do because we know the people that had an impact on our lives that changed the way we did things and the way we thought. And you know, they never said what you couldn't do. They always told you how you can do it, and that's why I think, you know, even today's young people are told what to think, not how to think. And I think our generation was so spongy in terms of figuring out how to do things. And we had educators who allowed us to figure those things out. I mean, who had Patton?
Oh,
Miss Carey.
Patton and Davis you didn't want them, but boy, I tell you what.
I had Miss Patton.
You learned the classics.
And Miss Patton, the first day I walked in there, I know you're a star athlete, but in my class, you will do the work, you will be prepared, and you will not clown. I was like, yes, ma'am.
I didn't do so well.
I ended up loving her, you know, because once she realized that, yes, I'm obedient, I'm willing. You set the rules, I'll follow them. You know, I'll be trying to get out of them, but I'm gonna follow them. And she used to just be so nice to me, but it was because I respected her. She respected all the stuff that I was trying to do, and she was just a great communicator, great teacher. And I remember being in those classes, man. And me and Dean Batchelder actually sat in the back on the first row. I was the back, and Dino sat in front of me, and then Aaron Crump sat in front of Dino. And so it's like the three amigos back there. The only person we were missing was Jack, you know. And but she used to, you know, if she got Dean, then it would be me, and then it would be Aaron. Or if she got Aaron first, then it'd be me, then it'd be me. You just knew you better be ready to read when it came your turn. And
she was one of the reasons I missed the bus almost every day. And it wasn't because I did anything bad. It's just, you know, maybe I was talking or maybe I had a show or something. And like I say, the line was long. But,
do you guys remember like Andrea Fabriga
Yep.
and Lisa Roberts.
Yep. Lisa Rye. I just seen her picture in the yearbook today.
They were all sitting up in the front row, man. And I just remember, and they would be answering up. Michelle McCardle.
Oh yeah.
They would all
Ann Goodman.
Ann Goodman.
You know, just-
Annie Vuitch.
Yep.
Tammy Porter. Kelly.
Yep.
Oh, they'd be all sitting up front.
You guys remember Mrs. Gorey?
Oh,
She was my favorite.
So there's certain teachers, and she ended up coming to Sexton. and
She
teaching
sure
over
did.
there.
Yeah. Yep.
But Miss Gorey was absolutely one of my favorite teachers. And there's certain teachers that you have to learn stuff. Like at Eastern, it was Mr. Spagnolo and Mr. Hahn. But Mr. Spag, I can speak Middle English, and I can say a poem. And I'm daggone near know the whole thing all the way through for the Canterbury Tales. But Miss Gorey, in history, her thing was manifest destiny.
Yep.
The belief on the part of the white American that they had the God-given right. I mean, I can quote you verbatim
What she did.
45, 50 years later.
Yes.
And it was just, here's what the deal is. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. And there's no questions. I'm not, that's what I expect of you. Like, okay, I got it. And just, I loved history just because of her, because she made it fun. And then what day was it that she would always wear orange? Was it St. Patty's Day?
Yeah.
You had to wear green, and she always wore orange. And it was like, that was her. She always had little quirky things like that just I thought were crazy. She was, and
That's why I love history so much. And then when I went to Sexton, then I had Mrs. Dykema. Then I took history with Mr. Raff, and I read. We had the World Book encyclopedias, and I was always reading them. And Miss Corey goes, "Look, what's going on? You know this in your head, but when you hear, you don't want to." And I said, "Yeah." So she helped me intertwine those two together.
bring them together.
Yep. And then when I went to high school, Mrs. Dykema, and then I did well in history with Mr. Raff, and then he encouraged me to go into world history with Mrs. Dykema. So yeah, that was history was a big deal in school for me.
So, Bobby, were you big at Holy Cross?
No, actually, I was not a Catholic, but I found myself in the Holy Cross sports all the time. I played basketball there. I played football there, and I think I ruffled some feathers. I was their running back, and there was a point in the season where there was some kids that were on the team that actually went to Holy Cross and were Catholics, and their parents were kind of
Upset that you
upset
were getting
that
more
I was,
time?
yeah. And it wasn't because I didn't do okay. I was pretty good at my position, and at one point I was asked to step aside a little bit more, my coach, because of this, and it wasn't a big deal to me. I was just happy to play.
Right.
I mean, I played city sports, I played church sports, I played for the Catholics, I remember playing against you. I think you played for firefighters when I played during those years, and so I played at Pattongill, I played at Sexton, I played different sports, but I played basketball at Pattongill, and I had to get up every morning, and I think Jablonski was my varsity coach. I think you had graduated.
Yep.
And so I was on that team, and I had to get up in the morning and jog downtown to catch a bus to Eastern every morning. Finally, I had to give up that position because I just couldn't do it. I had to watch my sister in the morning, so it was a lot on me in my life. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
We were talking about the Eastern Sexton thing.
Hold that question
Okay.
for me. We're going to take a break.
Sure.
When we come back from break, we're going to have another guest that's going to join us, and then we're going to talk about this questions you got for Eastern Sexton. All right, this is Jim Keaton at the Keys to the City, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a few.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success. Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Chicago Bears offensive line coach Dan Richard to discuss the Bears' 2025 successful season and his coaching career in general. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success. Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Chicago Bears offensive line coach Dan Richard to discuss the Bears' 2025 successful season and his coaching career in general. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success. Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Chicago Bears offensive line coach Dan Richard to discuss the Bears' 2025 successful season and his coaching career in general. Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
But I was so proud.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Trucking, got my chips cashed in, keep trucking, like the Doodah Man, together, more or less in.
And it's a beautiful day back here in Lansing, Michigan. Spotlight Radio Network here on the Keys to the City. I'm Jim Keaton, your host, and we've had some royalty has entered the room. And but before we get to that, Bobby, before we left, you had a question. Let's Eastern Sexton question, and let's go ahead and offer that up.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the Sexton Eastern days, and I wanted to ask you a question, Jimmy. You know, being a big football player at Eastern, how did you boys like coming across town, having to play your games over in our stadium? I think you had to play maybe on Saturdays once in a while, or Fridays when we weren't there, and it's kind of. I'd like to get your perspective on that.
It was one of the most unexciting things that we had to do. And I remember each year, even before when I was at Pattengale, I remember there was a groundswell of, because we had that property over there. We had just opened up the field house, and we had that property all that went all the way up where those houses and condos are now over on Saginaw. It's like, we need to build a stadium for football. And Millage it was only for the east side, and nobody in the rest of the district, it seemed, had any intentions of allowing us to have our own place.
It was nice when you got your field house, so I know that was something.
That was like what everybody said, is you got the field house.
Okay.
You ain't getting no more money. We have to put it somewhere else. You know, and at the same time that Hill had just come on board, and but it was very hard because and for the most part we played on Friday night. So if you guys played home, we were playing away.
Right.
And then we usually had one game, our first game of the year was either at Ypsi, or I remember one year we went to Traverse City and played Traverse City Central. And then one year we went to Flint Southwestern. So we weren't afraid to play anybody.
Right.
And so rather than having to play on that Friday night, that might have been our Friday night to be home, we would go somewhere else and play. But we'd always have 4 home games and 5 away. It was just... And then ultimately the last game of the year was always awkward because we would have to go into the visiting team's
for the big game
locker room.
That was big week. That was big week. Sexton Eastern.
Bob, we used to go. When Sexton was away, I'd go to the Eastern football games
at Sexton. Just because they were there.
I liked it. Yeah, I could see the people that I went to Pattengale with. I loved it.
It was tough. But at the same time, I mean, what are you going to do?
Well,
that's where you play.
One of the things would have been like, even the convenience. Like we're coming right out of our school, going over to our stadium. You guys have to bus over there.
Get a bus.
That it doesn't feel like home to me, and that's why I just wondered how that affected you guys over there.
It was very difficult, but it was one of those things that Coach Flynn would use as a motivator for us. Our chip on our shoulder. We're going over to take over these folks home. They think they run the yard, but we coming to let them know.
Yeah,
And-
and you would toilet paper my yard all the time, every year.
Well, that was part of that. That was part of the whole football week.
If you didn't live so close, you wouldn't have had to
You
worry
toilet
about
pa-
it.
It was horrible.
I mean, back in the day, everyone was guarding each other's school that week.
Yeah.
If you knew.
It was just like Sparty and
Sure.
State Street,
That's
you
right.
know.
I got hit with a fire extinguisher one night. Some Eastern guy posing as a sexton guy and had a fire extinguisher in the bottom, riding low in that car, and I looked pretty white when I got hit.
So we're gonna talk about that because Alex has a story that I still don't remember, but I'm gonna let him tell it. But I want to let our guests know that we've had some football, basketball, volleyball royalty has entered the room. Miss Crystal Nichols has graced us with her presence all the way from Los Angeles, California. We want to welcome you to the show. Appreciate you making time to get here to see us.
Thank you.
But tell us, what is it that you're here for?
Well, I am here as a football official of 35 years, and the Great Lakes, Dick Hornick, he runs a camp, and I'm pretty sure I was the first woman to ever, present myself to his camp about almost 30-something years ago. But now I am here to take a step back from the field. I want to be a replay official. So this camp offers replay officials, but I am the yoga queen, and so it's very important that officials stay in shape on and off the football field. So he's allowing me to show my presentation and teach officials how to do yoga. So I made up yoga moves just for officials, for pre-game warm-up, even before you get out of bed, how you should just stretch your body before you put your feet onto the earth. And so I get to make 2 presentations with that before the clinic starts in the morning.
Well, congratulations. That's wonderful. And then also as I was preparing, I was reading up on just recently you were part of a all-female football referee team.
Well, it's a crew. It was
Crew.
It was African American during Cancer Awareness Month a couple of years ago. It was an all women crew. We were the first all women crew high school African American, and we represented cancer awareness. And I got to be the white hat. But it was pretty intense, and I'm just going to get really deep with you. The girls were having so much fun and glory of this. It was like 25 seconds left in the game. It was a blowout. But it was a good blowout, And the guy scored a touchdown, and then one of the girls threw a flag, and I'm like, "Why are you throwing a flag?" And I didn't want to wave it off. I didn't want to embarrass her, so I just said, "Okay." And then the umpire, I said to her, "Walk it off." She says, "No, we're not going to walk it off." I says, "Why not?" "Because we're going to kick the ball again, and da-da-da-da-da." And I says, "Look, girlfriend, this is 25 minutes left in this game. We're out of here, and we got paid, okay?" So she's like, "I'm not." So you know what? As the white hat, I walked off the penalty, marked the ball, blew my whistle, took the visiting team and the home team and told them to go to their benches. And I waited, and I told them to run the clock, and they ran the clock, and the game was over with. And I had to take control of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know as a white hat is
It's sportsmanship.
a little extra special because you have so many people that you're trying to keep in order. Not only your crew, but coaches from both sides and players, and you kind of have to be that manager, if you will, of the whole field. You have to see everything that's going on. You're not just watching any one thing. What is it that got you into refereeing football?
Well, being a Sexton homecoming queen, how you doing? And I ran hurdles. I played basketball.
You're a cheerleader.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader forever.
Yes, you
so,
were.
I went out to L.A. and I, went to college and got all good. And then the next thing you know, I started getting old. They says, you want to be a model? You're not 25 anymore. So, but I had this feeling inside me where I had to get up and try out for something. I'm like a princess warrior. I had to go do something with my body. I knew I was going to do something with my body to make money, and it had to do with some physical fitness something. And sure enough, I got into basketball. I dated this guy, and he says, Crystal, you can make $25 an hour refereeing men's semi-pro basketball. I said, I can control men? He said, yeah, for $25 an hour. He gave me 3 games, $75. So that just got me into the officiating part. But then they says, Crystal, you're too cute. You're too this, whatever. You need to learn how to referee football. That'll build up a presence, a stamina of yourself. And I says, what? So I did it. And next thing you know, I'm doing international men's and women over in Finland and Sweden. And the ride has been amazing, Grace.
Great.
Even got drafted to the NFL in 2012 during their lockout, but they wouldn't let me go on the field. They didn't want me to be a scab. So from there, I went down to Camp Pendleton and helped with the Wounded Warrior Project. They gave me assignments. The NFL being under their umbrella is amazing, Grace, and they pay so good.
Well, it does lead me back to the fact that why Sexton women were a little bit different. 'Cause they all wanted to be in charge, you know, and it made it difficult for us guys when we came over from other schools to we were more accustomed to being able to maybe suggest what needs to be done versus being told what we were going to do.
Well, we were daddy's girls.
That was true between me and Crystal, especially at Berlinden. She told me to do something. I did it. I didn't play.
We were daddy's girls.
That's
you know,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but still, you know, she was pretty and she was nice and I liked her. And yeah, I wish I didn't know about the modeling thing. If you'd stayed around here, you'd been over there with Lansing Mall modeling with me.
Right. Well, you know, I was with Let's Fashion, so he had me
that's
on
right.
TV all day long. Martha Stewart, remember Martha Stewart?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tea room modeling. He had me all over the place. Yep.
Now there's a name from
C.L.
the West
Adams.
Side.
C.L. Adams, remember him? I was with him, but
Mr. Letts and Mrs. Letts are
Yeah.
staples of the West Side Society.
Mrs. Lutz was in my dream and my mother 2 nights ago before I came here.
Wow.
Yeah, so the Holy Ghost and the Spirit is in my soul. And it was so good to see them two together. And it was just like we were right here, right now. Yeah, her spirit is beautiful.
And then we go back to also the Riddle family.
The Riddle, yep.
And obviously my uncle, the McFadden family. That was now, Crystal, where did you live at? So we've been talking about the different neighborhoods that made up the West Side.
Okay.
Kind of that Comstock Park. Again, we all grew up. We had our own parks. Comstock Park, and then we had Dunnebeck and West Side, Verlinden.
Well, we were
St. Joe.
St. Joe was our park.
Did they have? I was asking Jimmy about that. Did you have the park off of St. Joe, the long park that I was on the other side of Sexton? Did you have the summer? You know, when they brought the sports and the sheds and the college students would come there and run a program. We were wondering if that was your park and if they did that.
I'm not. Only thing I really remember that was so cool about St. Joe Park was Arthur Ashe. He came through with the tennis, and that was like when I was 9 years old. We were coming from up north from the cabin, and I heard it. So everybody was up at St. Joe Park playing tennis because of Arthur Ashe, and we got to meet this man in person before he passed. It was amazing.
Such a humble man.
Yeah, his presence was very strong.
yeah, when I played tennis, Sexton, that's where we would be at over there.
At St. Joe
So you
Park.
were at St. Joe Park then?
Yeah.
See that we were talking about.
And my house is right across the street from Sexton High School.
Right.
And right down the middle, they had that segregation going on. We were the first African-American family to live on Michigan Avenue, down by Sexton. You know, how they segregated everything. So Alex and Kathy Roos and Linda and all those went to
Pattongill.
Pattongill. And then I got bused all the
To
way
Rich.
to, no, I had to go to Gardner.
Gardner?
That's
No
Yeah.
kidding. Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't
That's right.
know
I
I
didn't
had to
know
go
they
to
did.
Gardner.
Yeah, that's right. Because I
Wow.
remember your brother going to Gardner.
Yeah, that was a beautiful school, too.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful school.
I didn't think that. Oh man, I
See,
didn't.
that's
I did
what I
not
say.
know
You
that.
know.
Depending upon the pocket.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went to Pattongill way across town. She went to Gardner way across town.
Yeah, they really
I mean,
segregated
that's-
everybody.
They wanted to mix us up, but we were mixed.
Yeah.
I thought we were mixed enough. We didn't need that.
But what was so cool about us in our generation, we weren't all about black and white. When we got to Sexton, we couldn't wait to see one another again because they separated us. So that's why we were such a close knit family. Sexton Big Reds.
Yeah, we talk about some of the things we've had. Is we had our 1980 state championship basketball team on the show here a few weeks ago, and we had our cheerleaders were on as well.
Right.
And so I was getting chopped a little bit about not having representation from other sides of town. I said, well, I'm an equal opportunity guy. I'm going to bring in the West Side. I know folks on the West Side, and they're friends with them. But there was this healthy respect that we had for each other, but it didn't diminish the competitive spirit that we had based on what school we went to.
Exactly.
And so now that you're jogging my memory, I'm like, yeah, you was over there with Yo Rick and Aaron and Feets.
Yep.
And
Michael Flowers and
Flowers,
Cuppy Porter, all those guys, Yeah.
We dispensed whoopings over on that side of town too. I remember when speaking of open up the field house, so Eastern Everett opened up the field house on Friday night. But the Thursday before that game, Pattongill played Gardner for the city championship. We were both undefeated, playing each other at the field house. And we had just as many people in the field house on Thursday night watching a junior high school basketball game as there was on Friday.
They won that game. Pattongill won that game.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We
CAC champs.
We won every game.
I remember you.
You beat Gardner, my home team?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we whooped your children like stepchild. and every time I see A-Dub and Feets and Yo Rick, I let them know, like,
yeah.
Talk all you want to, but you knew what happened when it came.
That was a packed field house too. I remember that. I was cheerleading that year.
There was just so many good things that were going on, but still, it comes back to these little pockets of places where you grew up, And how did you end up with him?
Well, I met him
at
Verlinden, and he was the smartest, handsome guy, and he sat right in back of me, or I sat in front of him. He was so smart. I have to admit, I used to copy his paper. He was so smart.
My goodness.
When I got stuck on something, I was like, hey, what's the answer to that? And he would tell me, he was very humble, but he was so smart. Him and Tom Farmer.
Yeah, Tommy Farmer. Well, that's why I was smart, because I was around Tom.
Oh, so you were copying Tom.
I was with Tom Batchelder and Tom Farmer, and they would kind of help me, with school. But the thing is about the West Side too. So in 2009, I started these West Side parties at my house, and it was big the first couple of years, and then they got so big that we started taking them to different places. But Bob was there, and not sure. I don't think you made it.
I missed it.
Yeah,
but
that was a big. We have most of the West Siders. Most of them still live on the West Side, and we just got connected. So that's really what makes. Plus, I was on the West Side Commercial Association for Lansing at that time with Jessica Yoko and City Council. So that kind of gravitated to that too. But those parties were big, weren't they, Bob?
I think they started out like a kind of Verlinden West Sider, and then kind of a West Sider Sexton, and then a kind of a West Sider Sexton if you went to Rich or Gardner, and you didn't live right around the Verlinden, you could come. And then and maybe if you would have called us, Jimmy, we'd have said, well, we let a few Eastern guys in here.
Yeah, we did.
So
James Benson came.
We didn't keep it exclusive, even though it had a name.
DeVal Murchison came. But
he came from the East Side.
Yeah, he sure did. That's the thing. The first one was word of mouth. Yeah. Then Facebook, we started utilizing Facebook, and then it got too big. For my backyard, I live in a corner lot that's got a big lot, but
started have to have it at the Harry's.
Yeah,
or the Irish
we went
pub.
to Harry's. We stuck
Irish
around
pub.
the West Side and had them over there. Lansing Brewery Company,
Irish
West Side,
pub
Irish Pub, Harry's. Where else? The other one.
Did you have it at the Civic Center too?
No. We try to pick places that we were around.
Yeah, just supporting the neighborhood.
Yeah,
that's what we did. Now it seems to me, Crystal, that I remember something that did you try to pull off a all school reunion or something in the summer?
Yes, I did, and I got backstabbed so bad, and I'm not mentioning nobody's name.
No name.
But I put my heart and soul into that, and I couldn't believe what was going on. And I asked Alex to help me. He did his best, but I wanted all of us to get together, and I wanted to be at the venue because she went to Eastern.
Yep,
and she
Feb-
runs the joint, and she's a woman of color, just a woman, period, has her own spot. And they were arguing about going to the Hilton. Who wants to go to the Hilton? And then I says, let's go to the venue, support girlfriend. And it turned out decent. It did. But I couldn't believe the band that I wanted to use. Actually, he played a week before our reunion, and I had a contract with him. And I didn't pay him. But I put some money down, didn't get my money back. But that was a conflict of interest. I'm not mentioning no names, but I'm just saying, can't we all get along? And it was my idea. I thought about it, and it was for our 45th class reunion because I was in Africa on our 40th. And we had it at the haunted house, it's that haunted mansion over there. And I says, y'all better come to this reunion. Something's getting ready to go down. So
The Turner Dodge Mansion.
yeah, Turner Dodge. Yeah. So I came home, put on the 40th class reunion, flew back to L.A. after I came from Africa. Everything got shut down. And I was doing yoga with all my girlfriends from elementary school for a whole month. My mom's church, Trinity, all the African old ladies, we were in a chair. I did it for free. You know, I was like, it was so wonderful. I mean, I even birthed some babies during that pandemic with my yoga. But getting back to what you're saying, it broke my heart. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? We're going to have our 50th. Maybe we can do it right this time. Get all the schools for the 50th class reunion of the class of 79. We're the last class of the 70s. We are the best freaking class.
Well, you know, you
That
can do
79 and 80 was really the biggest ones. 81 was trying, but
Yeah, trying.
79 and 80.
I don't think we
was
need to
big.
keep it exclusive to
Well-
79.
Well, I'm just
It
saying.
was. That was the most
I'm
participation.
saying we don't have to if we do it. You know, we could kind of.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I agree.
you know, I don't. Because I want 79 to stand out. We had 300 people.
79 was the best year at Sexton.
Yeah, we had 300
no
people
doubt.
that graduated.
Yeah.
And then Eastern had some great people
Yeah.
at 79. You know what I mean? You know, I'm
I
just
mean, our
saying.
class, I was 81, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
See?
what,
And
what-
80
what
was
made-
pretty good.
Yeah.
But 79, when I went there, when I got
You
to
can
Sexton,
come.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I
You
want to
can hang
come.
out with us, brother.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah, come.
I want to
Definitely come.
defect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
79.
Yeah.
there's most of us, we went to kindergarten together.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, the
and the ones that
79
went to over on the other side, they went to Rich. Same thing. They went to Verlinden, and that made it even tighter.
Yeah.
didn't it?
We're not, well, the doors are open. I just want you to recognize you walking into the class of 79.
Well, when I came to Sexton in 79, I was like in a different country that school. I was like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. They run it like a college.
Yep.
And I tell you what, like Melvin Gordon,
Melvin.
you
yes.
and several other people, oh my gosh. I mean, you talk about, they did everything. They did it the right way, everything. The parties, all the groups, and I tell you, they did it right. That's what I'll just say.
Yeah.
79 did it right.
79.
80 was good, 81 was not, but
Yeah.
79, I don't know how 78 was, but 79 was a darn good class at Sexton, Jimmy.
What happened when you came along, 81? I remember I was in college.
Yeah.
Right when I graduated from college, the computers came out. Hell, I was typing stuff, looking up in the damn dictionary for words and everything. And then when 81 came, the computers came. And everything was different. Everything changed. The whole dynamic of how a person thinks changed.
Well, I
Y'all got
remember
it easy.
when my freshman year in college, we had a computer class, a CIS class that you had to take, CIS 100. And we, at our Memorial Union, was where the mainframe was.
Oh.
And the mainframe was the whole basement
Yeah.
of the Memorial Union. And you would go down there and it would be like, and I'm in Phoenix, in Tempe.
Oh.
it's already 110
already hot.
degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And you go down there, it's like 200 degrees. It's like, man, what? And I still don't like computers. I mean, I like them for what they provide, but I don't like them for what they've done to the thinking part of people.
Exactly.
You know.
Creativity.
Remember,
they did
remember
that
when
with
we
us
went to the
at-
library
Yeah.
and you had to know the Dewey Decimal System to
Oh, yeah.
write your paper to figure out. Oh,
Yep.
okay, I got to go get some primary sources. I got to go
Exactly.
figure out how to get these. Now they just go to Wikipedia, which is certainly not a primary source, but they're using it in their paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that even gives me now, and I'm gonna admit, I actually used AI today to write something for me, just to give me an outline of what they would write, and I ended up rewriting 3/4 of it, but it gave me a good outline
Idea.
for me to put my information in.
Right.
And so it was helpful, but it's like, Chris Nickloff, who's still in a board meeting, was going to talk, but he talks about how he's in the medical profession, and he's saying the advancements that we're going to have medically in the next 5 years are going to be so substantial to say what we've had in the last 50 years.
Sure.
Because they're able to do this with the computer models so much faster.
Sure.
It's kind of like when we
Run sequence codes and stuff that you would normally manually do.
Right. Well, I equate it to us learning arithmetic by using a pencil and paper.
They don't even
And
write
then,
now.
they can't spell their name.
Yeah, so how are you going to sign a contract? You don't know how to write. That's a shame.
And then it went to the calculator.
Yes.
When the calculator came in, it was like,
Yes.
I don't like this calculator, man. But then it would help, so it was like, but then they started adding all those signs with letters and stuff, and I was like, man, this ain't worth nothing.
Yeah,
So,
in the fall of '79, when it got out and went to GM, and then the GM internship. So when in 1980, they introduced us to Apple, and there was called the Lansing Computer Center. Remember that, Bob?
Yep.
On Center Street, and so they implement. So I had to learn that because I went on the launch team by that time. I didn't really want to do it. They said, Alex, if you need to do this now because we're going to be setting this up for the other launches, because I was the guy that wanted to be on the launch thing when the Grand Ams came after the Oldsmobiles left. So I learned that computer system then when it was just Apple, right? The small one. Then the other ones came in, and Bob was over there. We at the plant, even at Fisher Body, we had a computer room. Remember, Bob? And then at Lansing Delta Township, we had a huge computer room to go in there and to learn how to navigate through the computer
watch
system.
the tape.
Yep.
Well, unfortunately, our time is run out, and we just got cooking here, and I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come down and reminisce, really, because it's really about where we've come from.
Yep.
We're on the downside of our mountains,
Yep.
but the mountain has been pretty good.
I
And growing up in Lansing has been just a treat, even though I left early, like Crystal. You get out and you expand your wings, but it's still, coming back home is still home.
Yeah.
And
And I'll be 65 on Saturday. You're welcome to come over and taste a little champagne with me around 5-ish.
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 You hear that, Rob? We're going to let
Yes.
the whole city know Crystal is pouring champagne about 5-ish at something Michigan Avenue. I ain't got the address yet, but we'll get it. And we'll post it later. But no, seriously, I want to thank the Big Reds for coming into the house tonight. I really
Thanks a lot for
enjoy
inviting us.
having
Thank
you,
you.
Jim.
having you guys and sharing stories, because bottom line is we're all still part of the human race, and
Yes.
all friends, come from different backgrounds, but that's what makes us who we are.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank Spotlight Radio Network for allowing me this opportunity to enjoy some time every Tuesday night to talk about various things. And Of course, the great Jack Ebling, want to give a shout out to him for pushing me into this stuff. And then, as always, the man behind the glass, spinning the ones and twos, Mr. Rob Bennett. I appreciate you, brother. And we'll see you next week on The Keys to the City.
Me.